Very good. And then it's my chat. Let me pop my chat to the side here. Okay, good. All right, awesome. So guys, so far we've done a lot in these sessions, right? And I'm hoping that many of you are, getting more and more confident in your use of AWS. Now, this confidence is what make you gonna do really well in interviews, okay? And try to eliminate that fear of, well, I don't know what I'm doing, right? Or maybe, oh, okay, I got this cert, I have, this cert, that cert, but right, I haven't really done a lot in the console. So again, these sessions are for, people who are kind of in that situation, want to get that hands-on experience. So we're gonna do some things today. If you're new, they might look very confusing to you, but like I always tell people every week, if you go back and watch the playlist, so every week is recorded. Don't worry, every week is recorded. Go back to the previous playlist, watch everything from week one, okay? And everything we say today will make a lot of sense. All right, but if you're already familiar with most of the things, you might, maybe everything will work, you'll be able to understand everything that I'm talking about. Otherwise, if you're just getting started with AWS, then I highly, highly recommend you watch from week one and then catch up till today. But you don't have to end, you don't have to exit the call. You can stay till the end of the call, and once you revisit it later on, it'll be much easier to understand. All right, guys. So, as you guys have noticed, every time we create instances, and we give a scenario, that we have a project we're working on. Now we're told to create servers for a new application that is being developed by the company. Is it a static application or a dynamic application? I'm very sure that many of you know what I mean when I say it's a static or a dynamic application, right? And we've hosted both type of applications before. Right. So now, today, your company is worried about you guys are brainstorming in your team, or let's just assume you were assigned a task, right? That, hey, great job hosting our website, on AWS, everything's working fine and all that. But we noticed some users in different parts of the world complain about, the website being slow, right, to load, right? And you're being told to, find a fix for this and see if AWS provides anything that can help you guys make your website load faster. With that type of scenario, the first thing you want to look at is an AWS service called what? If anyone can help me out in the chat, right? Is there anything that you can do to reduce the latency for people to see front? Very good. Very good. CloudFront. Now, if you become a freelancer tomorrow, or you're setting up your own, consulting company, this is one thing I would highly recommend you propose in your solution. You propose this in your solution to your customers, okay? It will really, really, really help with, that latency issue, with people from different parts of the world saying that your website is slow to reach. Now, what's the basic concept idea behind this? Let's start with what we're used to. Let me move my video here a little bit to the right. Of course, just to use it to reinforce our learning so far, we have an application, for example, in this case, and let's say this is the website, right, that our end customers from around the world need to get to, right? Remember what we've been doing before. We choose a region, right? Let's not forget that, right? And when you're in an interview, try to do this every time, right? Draw a region, assume a region, put your availability zones, let them know that you know what you're talking about. Okay, so there's an application that needs to go in. How many AZs should we use, guys? At least, let's assume we're going into production. How many AZs should we use? 1 AZ or more? Minimum 2 AZ. Very good. Wow, you guys are so brilliant. Mashallah, like we say. All right, now let's say we're going to choose 2 availability zones. right? We're gonna choose two AZs. Now, in this AZ, we're gonna have our public subnet and our private subnet, right? And our public subnet and our private subnet, right? Very good. Now, we put our instance, right? Let's say, for example, in our public subnet, right? We put our instance in our public subnet, right? EBS, right? And then remember on in one of the labs, we were using something called in order for if one of these servers go down, we created something to allow another server to be automatically created. What was that service we used to automatically create a new server so that it's we're not there yet. We're not there yet. Exactly, Al Mamoon, very good. Right, I would just put ASG here, an auto scaling group, right? Very good. That will allow us to automatically have new servers being spun up, right? But at the end of the day, we say, okay, we only want two at each time, or four. If you say four, it'll put two here, right? Or one here, one here, if you say minimum of two servers. Okay, moving on. Let's say that's what we have. Now, in front of this auto scaling group, what did we have to distribute the load to the different AZs? What other thing did we implement? And we've talked about this before. Very good. Oh my God, you guys are like on top of your game, right? We put something here, and that is an ELB, like you guys have written in short form. Very good. A load balancer. And the load balancer and auto scaling group will talk together to make sure that you always have your servers running. And don't forget, inside of here we already installed what? Apache, right? And then we already copied the code that our developers wrote. We already copied it into these machines, right? We already copied it into these machines. We installed Apache and then we deployed the code in here. Okay, very good. Now, at the end of the day, what we did was, and again, let's assume we're using Northern Virginia region. Okay, we're using Northern Virginia region, and then this is AZ. This is AZ1A, and this is AZ1B. Okay, so now, but we have customers coming from Mumbai. Right, we have some of our end users. They're coming from Mumbai, and let's assume these are all our users from Mumbai, or our users from where else? From California region, right? They're users that are close to California, okay, right? So there are also other people that are coming to reach these servers in Northern Virginia to get to our application. Think about that. Yes, our company is in, maybe for example, Northern Virginia. Most of our customers are in Northern Virginia. That's good. We chose Northern Virginia as a place to have our servers, right? Think, for example, in this case, in on-premises example, where you're hosting your own data centers, your data center is located in Northern Virginia, right? But again, as you can see in AWS, we choose a region, we start deploying, right? We don't need to like build data centers, networking, that's in the past. Almost everyone now, it's only a matter of time that everyone's going to move to the cloud, right? Because it's just much cost effective. You can expand quickly, right? Think about you creating a whole data center, right? In about a few minutes, and then you start hosting your application in that data center, right? So in this case now, just to come back, Northern Virginia is where we have our data center. But again, now because our application is global, right? We are not only selling to people. We don't only have customers that are accessing our application from Northern Virginia region. It's going to be realistically people from all around the globe, right? So let's take, for example, in this case, Mumbai and California, right? Mumbai and California. So now people in these other places have started complaining, right? Or even some people even in Northern Virginia, right, are also complaining, right? Let's just assume that most of your customers, specifically in other parts of the world, that is in places that are not close to where you launch your application in, the region where you launch your application in. That's why I'm using faraway places like Mumbai in this case, and also throw an example of even within the US itself, California. Now, guys, like you all have mentioned, what you want to deploy in this case to reduce the latency issue is what we call CloudFront. Okay, CloudFront. And a popular term outside of the AWS world for this is, who can help me out? Is what? A popular term for something that CloudFront is used for. SDN. Very close. CDN. There you go. CDN. Content Delivery Network. Okay, Content Delivery Network. Now, guys, so what happens here is, let's say this is someone from Mumbai. Okay, please follow what I'm doing here at the top. Okay, I'm bringing Mumbai up here now. Okay, I'm bringing Mumbai up here. Now, your whole infrastructure is set up. You have your database servers here. Let's say you're using managed database service, RDS, right? RDS. Okay. Now, what you have done before is this load balancer is directly how customers interact with your website, right? So if someone comes from Mumbai, tries to get your app. Now, I want you guys to do something for me, okay? Imagine that we don't have this CloudFront for now, all right? Now, this one person from here, or people from this Mumbai region, they need to go to your website now and buy something, for example. Let's say this is an application that you can buy something from, right? Or you can watch a video on. Now, this person comes, they hit that load balancer. Of course, you've customized the name of the load balancer, and I talked to you guys about this before. Okay, you're not going to be using the URL of the in real world. You're going to use something like your website.com, right? Your unique name.com, and we're going to talk about that later on. But let's assume now that we're just going straight to the load balancer, but assuming that we're using a customized URL. Okay, assume that you're using a customized URL. And again, I told you guys before that before you're able to do that, you're going to have to buy a domain. And I hope many of you already know what that process is and all that. But behind that domain is your load balancer. Okay, it's a load balancer. So at the end of the day, without this CloudFront, maybe let's assume now that you never knew about CloudFront. This is what happens. Your customers always want to go to your website. Okay, it hits the load balancer, right? And if there's a DNS service in there, let's say Route 53 in this case, AWS DNS service, okay, it'll route that request, it'll take that request to your load balancer. But here's what I'm trying to get at. The request is coming directly, it's gonna go to the load balancer. The load balancer is gonna go fetch that content from your servers, right? Whatever page they're trying to go to on your server, it'll fetch that and give it back to that person. Okay, and let's assume that is person 1. Okay, person 2 comes, guys. Are you here? Person 2 comes from Mumbai region. Okay, person 1 is satisfied. He got what he wanted. Let's say it took 30 seconds. No, let me use something bigger. Let's say it took 50 seconds for the page to load. Okay, 50 seconds for the page to load. Okay, person 1 is happy. He can watch what he wants to watch on your website or buy what he wants to buy on your website. Person 2 comes, okay, from the same Mumbai region. Okay, he goes directly, he makes his request to your website, hits the load balancer, right? Load balancer will do what again, guys? It will go back and fetch the same content, right? Back to person 2. Now, what we're looking at when we talk about content delivery networks, in this case, CloudFront, this is not efficient, and this is not the way you want to go about reducing the latency for your application, right? As time goes on, there's some research out there, right, about the minimum amount of time it takes for someone to give up on your website, right? That's why you'd notice many of these big enterprises, right? Many of these, most medium or even small size businesses, they really care about the amount of time it takes for the website to load, right? I can't tell you how many times I go to a website, and if it's taking more than 30, 50 seconds, I'm out, right? Let's go to the next one. These people don't really know what they're doing, In modern day, just to be more specific, websites shouldn't take long to load, or your even mobile applications, right? You shouldn't be taking things like 50, 30 seconds. If you notice, some of them take, milliseconds to load. I mean, less than 1 second. You type in the URL, boom, it's right there, right? Now, in this case, what you want to do is implement what we call a CloudFront. Use CloudFront, right? In this case, as that request is coming, right, it'll go to your what? To your CloudFront. Please see what I'm drawing here, guys. Let me change the color of my marker. Okay, let me change the color of my marker. Right, it goes as that request comes from the first person. Now, follow me again, guys. Let's go back to the example of the first person now. Okay, now in reality, without CloudFront, that's what happens. Every time load balancer will go and get the content from your servers. Okay, every time. So that means for every person, this person might take 50 seconds, the other person might take 51 seconds, the other person might take 53 seconds, 54 seconds for the page to load for them, right? The average is around 50 seconds. All right. So now your company is worried that, that's just too much. 50 seconds is just too much, to get your application, running and loaded in front of your end users. So what you should do now as the solutions architect is bring this into the picture, right? And try to explain why this is what you need, right, for your website to be able to load faster for your global customers. Now, example of the first person again. The first person now, let's say you've done that now. You've created CloudFront, and then now you've put your application behind CloudFront. Okay, look at this, guys. CloudFront to the load balancer. Okay, now first person comes. First person is coming to your website. They've typed in the URL of your website to go to your website. It'll what? Go to CloudFront, right? Now, CloudFront, guys, please look at this. It has something we called edge locations around the world. Okay, edge locations are, think of this as data centers, right, around the world, right? And AWS keeps expanding these data centers. What does this do? Here's what I want you guys to see. There is a data center, an edge location. Let's try to, I wouldn't say data center when I'm talking about CloudFront. I'm gonna say edge locations, okay? Because that's what it's referred to in real life, edge locations. But at the back of your mind, think of this as also what? Data center. Because what they really are they are data centers, right? But we call them edge locations, right? Edge locations. So in this case, AWS has edge locations in, for example, in this case, Mumbai, or somewhere very close to Mumbai, if they don't have in exactly Mumbai city, right? Or geographic area. Now, another place is maybe Johannesburg in South Africa, right? Let's say there's another edge location. Let me just put it in here. Edge location. Pardon my diagram, guys, but I hope you guys are following. That's why I said, try to follow carefully. So you don't look back and like you're confused about everything. I hope you guys are following so far. Let me check. Pause check, right? Give me a 5 if you're following so far. We're not done yet. Just give me a 5 if you're following so far. Very good. Very good. Now, edge location again, right? Let's think about another city that our customers are coming from. Rome, Italy, right? Somewhere in Italy. Right? Let's say we have another data center there, right? London, right? We have another edge location, okay? Edge location. Now, what happens is, if this Mumbai person comes, right? This customer from Mumbai, if they try to reach your application, right? Now they'll go to that URL, right, that you've given them, that you've already put behind the CloudFront. CloudFront would look, right, at the edge location that is closer to the user, right? If there's not any content in this edge location, right? Maybe it's a JavaScript file, or a picture, or a video, or a software download. If CloudFront does not have it in its edge location, it will go to what? It will go and get it from what we call the origin. and the origin, you can say it's your load balancer or your EC2, or we can say, we can refer to that at our instances here. Now, here's what will happen normally. The first person comes to reach that application, right? CloudFront will not have it in its cache, in what we call its cache, right? Meaning this file has never been accessed before, so CloudFront does not have that at its edge location, right? Now, with the first request, right, for that file, CloudFront would go to your origin, right? That means CloudFront would have to go talk to your load balancer, guys, right? It will have to go talk to your load balancer, and your load balancer will go and fetch that, right, from your EC2 instance, from your server, from your web server. Now, in this case, once this first person has come to try to get that website, right, that page to load or to download that file, right, and you know, that file or that picture or that video has been gotten from the origin. For the next person that comes, guys, what is this? Okay, so for the next person that comes, right, now this first person, again, CloudFront had to go to the origin. It had to go to load balancer that, hey, please fetch this link for me. This user wants to go to this link on this page to view this picture or to watch this video, you know, or to download this file, right? So CloudFront will take that now and store it in the edge location that user, that is close to that user. And again, we're using Mumbai, for example, in this case, right? CloudFront had to go to the origin, right? Now, after this initial person, this first person comes, for the second person, CloudFront does not need to do this anymore, guys. For the second person or the third person or the 1 millionth person that needs to fetch the same file or load the same page, think about this. Here's the key for CloudFront here, guys. CloudFront does not need to do this again, guys. It does not need to talk to load balancer again. Who can tell me why in the chat real quick? Who can tell me why in the chat? CloudFront, now the second person is coming to fetch the same file, right? The data is already cached. It's as simple as that. You're done, right? The data is already cached. CloudFront has already put that file. Let's say they went to like grab an image from your website, you know, or to download a file from your website. CloudFront will store that, guys, at the edge location. Okay, so this second person, it'll be much faster. Why? Because CloudFront doesn't have to do this, to go all the way, travel all the way, right, to where your origin is to fetch that content. It'll just pick it from where. Please look at this arrow that I'm drawing right here. I know my diagram is looking a little messy now, but I hope you guys were able to follow. CloudFront will now get that content for the next couple of people. Why? From its edge location. Why? Because it has already cached it at the edge location. It does not need to go and fetch it from the origin anymore. Okay, now some of you might be thinking, what if we make an update to the website file, right? Let's say it was a picture 1 that everybody was going to your website to look at. Now you've changed picture 1 to another picture, right? That's where TTL comes in. Okay, what if we've updated your content in your origin? You set something we call TTL. Who can tell me what TTL is? Who can tell me what TTL is? Exactly, time to live. Okay, you say, okay, CloudFront, after 24 hours, for the next person that they tries to reach the file again, or the picture, the video, or the file, okay, I want you to go back to my origin, right? Maybe perhaps I have already updated that content to something else, right? Or to or to fix some issues, and then now I'm reloading the entire website again. Okay, so TTL is very important. What you're telling CloudFront is, hey, after 24 hours, that file is old now. Okay, remove it. Okay, go back and fetch from my origin again. Go back and fetch from my origin again. Okay, so when you're setting up CloudFront, you're going to see the option. It is going to tell you, do you want to use all, it's going to tell you about the regions that you might want to use, right? It says, it asks you use all, regions around the world, all edge locations around the world, or use just the ones in the United States. So let's go ahead now, guys, to the console. Let's go ahead to the console. Does this make sense to anybody? Does this make sense to anybody? Type 9 in the chat if this makes sense. 9. Very good. Very good. So don't forget this very important concept of CloudFront. This is why many people, love to use it. So that if it takes the first person 50 seconds, for the second person trying to access the same file, it might take 2 seconds or 3 seconds. Why? Because CloudFront already cached that file in there. Somebody's saying I have a question. Usually questions at the end of the session. Okay, so try to write down your question at the end of the session. We'll try to take question. All right, guys. Here's what I want us to do. Let's go to EC2. Let's launch an instance real quick. Okay, let's go to EC2. Okay, let's go to EC2. Now I'm gonna click on. Someone is not on mute. Please go ahead. Put yourself on mute. I can hear some noise in the background. Please check your audio and make sure that you're on mute. So let's go to instance. I'm going to be a little faster because now you guys are experts at this. Okay, I'm going to go pretty fast here. Okay, let's go ahead and launch an instance that has an example website running on it. Okay, let me go ahead now and click on launch instance. Okay, launch instance. Yes, we're going to use this Amazon Linux AMI. Go ahead and select that. Go ahead and select that. T2 micro. Yes, that's what we want. Next, configure instance details. Okay. No, let me go ahead and make sure. Let me go back. Just want to make sure something here real quick. Okay, yeah, T2 micro. Very good. All right. Configure instance details. Yes, we only want one. Let's use our test VPC. Well, should we use our test VPC or our default VPC? Let's use our test VPC. Okay, let's just use our default. Okay, it's okay. Let's use our default. And I know everyone here has default VPC, and not everyone were following us from previous sessions, and you're trying to do this lab. That's fine. So let's just go ahead with our default VPC. Okay, so default VPC, guys. Let's choose availability zone 1A. Okay, let's choose availability zone 1A. Okay, leave that as default. IAM role S3 and SSM. Okay, S3 and SSM. If you don't have these, don't worry, because you haven't been following from the previous sessions. Again, you can pause and just continue to watch what we're doing, and at the end, once you catch up with the previous videos, you'll be able to have all of this in your environment as well. Okay, the shutdown behavior, terminate. Moving on. What else, guys? IAM role, we already did that. Now, you guys know what I'm gonna paste here, right? And I already have that open here, the BashScript. And let me just bring this here. So get that BashScript, guy, that we've all been using. Okay, and remember, we have a S3 bucket. I told you guys to always leave in there. Okay, I told you guys to always leave that bucket in there. So I still have that bucket, the one for my static website and one for dynamic, and you guys should have that in your S3 bucket, but we're going to use this one, okay, which doesn't have a database behind it, but we're going to just assume it has. All right, so I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to paste it here. Okay, I'll copy that. Let me copy again. I'm going to paste it. Okay, all right, everything looking good so far. Let's go ahead and add storage now. Okay, 8 gig is fine for this server. Add tags. I'm going to add tag. Let's call it name. I'm going to say, I'm going to put CF. Okay, just so I know that I'm using this behind the CloudFront distribution. Okay, so I'm going to call this CF web server. Okay, just to know that this is going to be used behind a load balancer. I mean, just something you don't have, you can just write web server. Okay, so go ahead and click on configure security group. For the security group, let's create a new security group. Okay, let's call this public. Okay, public security group. All right, let's just paste the same thing here. Here's what I want us to do. Okay, I want us to allow HTTP. Okay, let's do HTTP first, add rule, add another rule, HTTPS. Okay. In order for CloudFront to be able to talk to the server, okay, what you want to do here is make it anywhere. Okay, make this anywhere. Now, I know I talked about security related. We did some security, configurations with load balancers and our web server security group before. But here, we're just going to open everything to the world for now, okay, for this example, right? In real life, please, I want you guys to do as we've done before, right? Your web server is only allowing from your load balancer. But again, this one is just for testing, okay? We have to open to the world to test our CloudFront, okay? So here's what I want us to do for now, okay? Just leave this as anywhere for now, okay? So we're going to open HTTP and HTTPS to anywhere. So let's go ahead and click on review and launch. So that's why I said call this public SG. Okay, call this public SG. Go ahead and click on review and launch. Okay, go ahead and click on launch. Okay, I'm going to choose a key pair that I've used before. All right, go ahead and click on launch instances. Okay, so that is loading. That is loading. And then I can just click on that right there to bring me to my EC2 page. Okay, and now it's loading. Now, what I want us to do is go ahead now and create a load balancer. Okay, go ahead and create a load balancer. All right. So I'm just going to open a new tab. I just opened this earlier just to show you guys the definition of CloudFront, but I already explained all of this, right? So let's just take a quick look. Amazon CloudFront is a web service that speeds up distribution of your static and dynamic web content. Right, so static and dynamic, all right, such as HTML, CSS, JS, and image files. Okay, very important, right? This thing that I'm highlighting, right, to your users. I'm just gonna close that. Okay, now let's go ahead now and click and create a load balancer. Open link in new tab. Let me open link in new tab. Click on let's see here. What am I looking for? Load balancer. My brain. Load balancer. I think it should be in. If you click on EC2, it should be somewhere on the bottom left here. Here, load balancers. Okay. Let me click on load balancer. Let me create a load balancer. Okay. Let me. This must be one from a previous class session. Let me click on create load balancer. I'm going to click application load balancer. Okay, I'm going to create application load balancer. Let me give it a name. I'm just going to use CFELB here just to specify that this is a CloudFront type, a setup that we're doing. Okay, I'm just going to put CFELB. Okay, just know that I want to use this behind my CloudFront. All right, IPv4 is internet facing, is HTTP, availability zones, choose everything. Okay, this load balancer should deploy in all availability zones that you have. Okay, what else? When I was in global accelerator, go ahead and click configure security groups. It's not using secure list, and don't worry, this is because we're not using HTTPS, and again, this is just a demo. Okay, hopefully in later sessions I can show you guys how to make your website HTTPS and not just HTTP. We're using HTTP now because this is just a test environment. In real life, of course, you want people to be able to use your website using HTTPS and not HTTP. Okay, especially if you're going to be sharing confidential information, right, with your customers, right, over the internet, then you always want to make sure you're using HTTPS. But in this case, test environment, we're not using that. So go ahead and click on next, configure security group. So I'm gonna choose this security group, ELB security group. I don't know if you guys already have one before from previous session. Let me see, get in the chat. Does anyone have load balancer security group as I'm seeing here in mine? Yes, if you have. No, I deleted mine. Okay, let's do this. Let's create a new one. Okay, it's fine. Let's create a new one. Let's call this CFELB SG. Okay, let me use dash. Okay, and then let me paste that here. Let me paste that here as well. Okay, add rule, HTTP guys, HTTP, HTTP, HTTPS. Okay, HTTP and HTTPS. Okay, from anywhere. You guys see that? From anywhere. So do this and let's move on. Okay, CloudFront, let's call this ELB-SG. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and click on configure routing. Okay, target group, let's create a new target group. Okay, remember target group is what's actually has the instances, right, that load balancer is going to be sending traffic to. Okay, let's call this CF. How about we do this CF TG, right? CFTG. Okay, it's to an instance. Protocol is ATP 80. Okay, leave everything else as default. I talked about this before as well. You know, this is how load balancer is going to test the server to check, are you alive or not? Can I send you traffic or not? Okay, if you're not alive, I'm going to be routing people to another machine. Okay, so that's why it's always good to have more than one server for production environment, more than one server in at least 2 availability zones. Please always keep that in mind. Okay, especially for production environment, right? In testing environments, it's okay, right? You can have one server in one availability zone. You're just testing to see if the application works as expected. Once you're moving into production, in 2 availability zones, have at least 2 servers, or 3 or 4 or 20. Okay, depending on how big, you know, your company is and your application, you know, is growing. All right, what else, guys? Advanced health check. I always like to change this to 2. We talked about this when we did this lab a couple of weeks ago. Okay, apart from, I'll just leave everything else as default. Okay, healthy threshold, unhealthy threshold. I'm just gonna change that 5 to 2. So it's just all right. Let's go ahead and click on register targets. Okay, let's go ahead and click on register targets. Okay, in this case, guys, we're not going to do all that work of creating an auto scaling group. Okay, we're just going to attach an instance directly. Okay, guys, again, if you remember from the lab from that time, I don't want us to repeat too much thing, because if we start doing that a lot, we won't have enough time for this. You know, this 1 hour will go into 2 hours and 3 hours. We don't want that. Okay, so what I want you guys to think now for me is, we already have an instance running. Okay, of course, in real life, if we want a system whereby, you know, if one server is down, another one will be automatically created, then we'll use auto scaling group, right? And we talked about all of that before. But in this case, we're just gonna choose this server that we have running. Okay, we're just gonna choose this server that we have running, and we're just gonna, you know, add it to the load, add it to as a registered target for this target group. Okay, so that our load balancer can direct traffic to this machine. Remember, I want you guys to don't get confused here. When we did this lab before with auto scaling and load balancer, we did not, although we had a server running, right, we did not check it here. We said, no, we're gonna connect it to our auto scaling group. Okay, we're not gonna, you know, do this because we want auto scaling to automatically create servers for us. Okay, but in this case, we have a server in our console that we want to just directly use, right, without bringing auto scaling into the picture. Okay, so go ahead and click on add to registered. Okay, go ahead and click on add to registered. Okay, now it will bring it up here, that letting you know that, you know, if people are coming to your website, okay, this machine is what's going to be serving those requests, right? Your developers, you've put the code on this machine, right? You've already put the code on this machine, so this machine is going to be used to serve this request. All right, so let me go ahead now and click on next review. Okay, it gives me a summary of everything. I'm going to go ahead and click and create. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click on create. We're almost done, guys. We're almost there. So let's go ahead and close this. Okay, let's go ahead and close this. Now, actually, I can delete this previous load balancer. Let me see if I. Okay, good. All right, so it's gone. All right, so now this is what we're working with. So now let's go back to our instance. Let's go back to our instance, guys. Let's go back to our instance. Let's look at, you know what I'm thinking now? I'm thinking we should perhaps have 2 servers. What do you guys think? Create another server in another availability zone. What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the chat. I think so too. Very okay. Okay. Let's do that. Let's do that, guys. So let's go ahead and launch another instance. Remember, this is very easy for us now, right? Go ahead and click on select. Go ahead and click on configure instance details. go ahead and, but what do we want to do now? Instead of 1A, what should we choose, guys? Let's choose what? Any other one, but let's keep it alphabetical for now, just to keep things easy for us. 1B. Let's just go with 1B. Remember in the first one, don't forget, our first server is in availability zone 1A, okay, in our Northern Virginia region. All right. So what else? S3 and SSM. What else, guys? Terminate. We want to terminate in our case. And let's go ahead and grab that code now. Our script. Let's go ahead and grab our script and paste it in there. Go ahead and then go ahead and click on add storage. 8 gig is fine. Add tags. Let's say this is name. Let's say CF web server 2. Let's add 2 in front. Okay, web server 2. All right, let's go ahead and configure security group. This is gonna use our public SG. Okay, please select select an existing security group here. Okay, and then choose your what? Public SG. Okay, choose your public SG. All right, and then go ahead and click on review and launch. Okay, in order to be able to have access. Don't worry about that. Continue. And then go ahead and click on launch. Okay, and then choose the key that you know that you have, and then go ahead and click on launch instance. Okay, now I'm going to click on this to take me to the console. Okay. And then now I should have okay, don't worry about this, guys. Don't worry about this terminating. This was me testing before. Okay, don't worry about this. Okay, let me even do this so you guys just see my 2 web servers. All right, I'm filtering. All I just did is I filtered by running instances. Okay, nothing complicated I did there. I just said don't show me instances that are terminating, or just show me instances that are running. Okay, so guys, we have 2 instances, one in 1A and one in 1B. Okay, so let's go ahead now and add this second one to our target group. Okay, let's go ahead and add this second one to the same target group. Web server 2. Now let's do this. Go to target groups. Let's go to target groups on the left. Okay. Oh, we have a target group from a while back. Let me delete that. Okay, very good. Okay, now let's look at this. Targets. Are you guys following so far, or am I going too fast? Give me a 5 if you're with me so far, if you're on the same page as I am. Okay, very good. Very good. Sylvia, are you following? Okay, there you go. Friend, Stu, very good. All right, now let's add our second one. Okay, register targets. Okay, let's add this one. Okay, and then register pending targets. Okay, very good. Now we have our 2 servers in our target group. So now our load balancer will direct people to what? To either one. Okay, to either one. Remember, your load balancer is helping you test which of this is alive, which of this is alive, which of this is alive. It keeps checking, right? It's not going to send people to a server that is not responding. That's one of the very great advantages of using a load balancer. Okay. All right, so that's that. We've added it. Let's go back to our instances. So we have, let me not confuse you guys too much here. Let me go back, change this to running. So we have only 2 running. Okay, so guys, now that these 2 servers are behind our load balancer, let's say for example now, you're not using CloudFront. Let's say for example now, you're not using CloudFront. Which URL are you going to give your users? Are you going to go to each individual one and say, here, go to my website, copy this and go to my website? Or you go here and you say, if that doesn't work, go to this one. Do you guys get what I'm saying here? Is this what you do now that you have? Exactly. You take the what? The DNS of the load balancer, right? And let's assume in this case that you've already customized this, your website.com. But at the end of the day, what you're gonna put behind that is your load balancer URL. Okay, so let's go and grab that. Go to your load balancer, guys. go to your load balancer and grab this. Okay, grab this. Of course, again, in real life, guys, you use something like Route 53. You buy your own custom domain name and put this behind it. Okay. Sorry, I know today's session, once we create our CloudFront distribution now, this session will go a little over an hour. I hope you guys don't mind. If you're gonna drop, I can understand. Okay. But if you're following so far, and you want to stay, feel free. If you have to go, feel free. Okay. The session will be recorded for you, and then you can continue later on. Okay. But if you can stay, that's fine as well. All right. So let me go ahead and paste that. Fingers crossed. I'm hoping this works. Does it work? It works, guys. Give me a 7 if it worked for you. Give me a 7. Very good. Very good. Okay. But now here's what's happening. Here's what's happening, guys. Oh, Sylvia, sorry about that. Something must have happened somewhere. Let's make this a little more secure. Okay, I want us to make this a little more secure because again, with these sessions, I want to be realistic. If you remember, we opened our web servers to the world. But guess what now? We have a load balancer in front. Should we still keep that or should we change that? I want someone to quickly unmute because I want to really know if you guys are really learning from the previous weeks. Who can tell me what I'm thinking in my head now to go and do in my security group? Unmute and let everyone hear you.
Yeah.
Listen, guys.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. So you want to go to your web server and point your web server to allow traffic only from the load balancer. So you're gonna set up the security group of your load balancer for your EC2 instance.
Very good. Who got that explanation? Give me a 3 if that made sense to you. Right? Give me a 3 if that made sense. Okay, very good, guys. So let's go to our security group. Right? Let's go to our security group. Now we're exposing our servers to 0.0.0. We don't want to do that in real life. So good thing we put so here's the public SG that we use, right? Here's the public security group that we created not too long ago. Okay? Public SG. And then now we want to do this. Let's go to our this one, public SG, inbound rules. Okay, go ahead and edit the inbound rule. Let's change this, right? This is not secure. We already have a load balancer, so everyone should only be talking to our load balancer directly and not to our server. So let's go ahead and edit this. Edit inbound rule. Okay, I want you guys to just delete this. If you notice there are duplicates here, delete this and then delete this one as well. Okay, now remove this, remove that. Okay, let me give you guys 10 seconds to make sure that you guys have the same thing. Okay, good. All right, good. All right, now for this public SG, this is what we want to do. Okay, remember this public SG is our web server, is what we're using for our web servers in this demo for today. Okay, we called it public SG. But here's what we want to do. We want to choose custom and we want to choose our what? CF load balancer. See that? I can see mine at the bottom here. Okay, so that means our web servers now are only expecting the load balancer to talk to them, not someone directly from the world, right? Not someone directly from the world. If you're coming to our servers, you're gonna have to go through this URL. Okay, if you try to go through our server URL, it will not work, right? Because we're not allowing the public to reach that. You're only going to be able to reach this the load balancer security group. So let me go back to there. I'm going to choose my I've already chosen it. Okay, my CF. Okay, I've chosen that. For the second one, also do the same thing, guys. Your CF ELB. Okay, now go ahead and click on save rules. Go ahead and click on save rules. Okay. Now what else? And now for our load balancer, I think that's already done. We want for our CF ELB here, just to make sure, let's look at it. Edit inbound rules. Okay, yes, this is what we want for our load balancer. The world can directly hit our load balancer and our load balancer will go and fetch this page from our servers. Okay. All right, now enough of this. Let's go ahead and cancel. What we just done now is we just made things a little more secure for us. Okay. All right, now let's go to services. Just open a new tab, guys. Open a new tab and then go to CloudFront. Okay, go to CloudFront. Go to CloudFront and then click on create distribution, guys. Click on create distribution, click on get started. Click on get started. Give me a 5 if you're here with me. Give me the number 5 if you're already in this console with me. Very good. Now it's asking for an origin name. It's asking for an origin name. And an origin can be an S3 bucket or load balancer. Okay? Or API gateway, I believe. And then you can see here media store, S3 bucket, load balancer. I believe, I'm not sure. Maybe not API gateway. I'll check on that later on. But in essence, you can see if you have used this bucket, for example, for static website hosting, don't worry, we did this in week 2 or week 3. Okay, I can choose that bucket now to put it behind my CloudFront as well. But in this case, guys, what are we going to choose? Who can tell me what we're going to choose? I'm looking at it right now. What are we going to choose as our origin? What are we going to choose as our origin? You see that? Exactly. CF ELB, which is our load balancer. Okay, which is our load balancer that we just created. Well, let's go ahead and select that. We want it for the entire page. Any page on that website, any page should be cached. Okay, if you want a specific page here, let's say you only want to to cache this page, right? Then you put that in the path here. You specify the path, like /about or something like that, or some other page on your website. Okay, but in this case we want it for everything. Now I know, guys, here there might be a lot of configurations here. We don't need all of this. We only need a few of them. In the future, if you're looking at this, if you're setting this up in a real life environment, I'll encourage you to look at all of these eyes right here. Okay, for you to get brief explanations of what this do, of what these options are for. For us, guys, we're going to leave everything as default. Okay, we're going to leave everything as default. I can see they've added some other new options here, like for example, enable origin shield. What is that? Choose yes to enable origin shield, an additional caching layer that helps protect your origin's availability. Origin shield reduces the origin load by routing a request through a central cache and consolidating redundant origin requests. So in this case, I don't think it will hurt. I can just choose yes, since it looks like this is something that will even help improve caching. So I'll go ahead and choose yes there. Let me see if I say no. Okay, let's just choose no for now. Okay, I'm gonna say let's choose no because I'm seeing some other options here to choose a region. I don't want to do all that. Okay, I'm gonna choose no. And then I'm just gonna go down here, leave this TLS SSL protocol as default, HTTP only, origin protocol, HTTPS only or HTTP only. Let's use HTTP only. Why? Because our load balancer is not using HTTPS, right? It's only using HTTP. Okay. Connection attempts. Here you have options as well for your connection attempts. You know the number of times CloudFront will attempt to get that from your origin. Default is 1, 3. We're gonna leave all of this as default. Okay, remember these are similar to the settings that you do in your load balancer as well. So you have that option with CloudFront as well. Before it will go and fetch that content from as it tries to fetch that content from your origin. Viewer protocol our viewers can use HTTP and HTTPS, right? Either should work, or we can say redirect. If someone types HTTP, we want it to automatically flip that to HTTPS. Okay, but here in this example, we're just going to use HTTP and HTTPS, whichever one the user is typing in their browser. Let it work. Okay, the options. If you're not into web development and all that, all of this will not make sense for you. Okay, for some of the developers here, this will make sense, right? Now this shows what you want to be able to do as you fetch that content. Do you want to be able to put something in the save something on the server, or get something from the server and all that? We're just gonna do get here. Okay, we're just gonna do get and head here. Or it doesn't hurt. We can do everything. All right, we can go ahead and do everything, or we can do get and head. In this example, I'm just going to do everything, right? We want the option to be able to put and patch and delete and all that. So let's say you're making a request to get something from your servers. Okay, CloudFront will allow that, right? Because you're enabling that HTTP method to be allowed, right? To get something from your server, or to delete something from the server. Field level encryption, this is a little advanced. This is for people that are very security conscious, right? I won't say that you worry about this for now, but some customers that are some enterprise users, they're able to, for example, encrypt individual rows, right? In data that they have stored in their, I don't know, databases or some other type of storage that they have, right? So again, this is a little bit advanced. Think of it as you're returning rows, you can encrypt some rows, right? So that, for example, your bank manager can see someone's account number, right? But the receptionist cannot see it, right? As that information is returned from the database. So pretty advanced stuff there to help with further securing your applications. Cached HTTP method. These two are cached by default. What else did I want us to change here? User cache policy and ORG request. Leave everything else as default. This if you're restricting private content, right? Let's say, for example, it's a paid website, right? And you don't just want to open all of the resources to everyone in the world, right? There's private. This CloudFront is going to be serving private content. Then you're going to use restrict viewer access. I opened the page here to show you guys CloudFront signed URLs and signed cookies. I'll put this link in the description. I really want you guys to read this page. It's very, very important. There are some features here that you might need for your own implementation of CloudFront in your environment. Okay. So, and also this is something that you also want to know for the exam, right? Signed cookies and signed URLs. Okay. Moving on, compress objects automatically. No. At this point, we're just going to leave everything as default. We're not using Lambda in this case. This is one important thing for us, right? As we want to cache content in our edge location, do we only want to do this for US, Canada, and Europe? US, Canada, Europe, Asia, Middle East, and all that, or use all edge locations? Okay. We can go, as you see, for best performance, it will cache at every edge location close to users from wherever they're coming from. Okay, so let's go ahead and choose that. Okay, use all edge locations, alternate domain names. Now you would use this if you want to customize the URL for your CloudFront. Now guys, I'm going to tell you that the end goal for this would be, we're not going to use our load balancer URL to look at our website anymore. Okay, we're going to start using CloudFront, right? But in order to customize the CloudFront URL that you're going to get, the DNS that you're going to get at the end of creating this, in order for you to be able to customize that, then you have to what? Input your URLs here, your custom URLs here. There's some other things, that you need to be aware of. In order to be able to do this, you need to get a certificate, right? An SSL certificate. But again, that's beyond the scope of today. But again, it's easy to do. I've done this before. Okay, and maybe I might show you guys this in a later session. Okay, but for now, just leave this. We're gonna test with the DNS that is given to us by CloudFront. Okay, we're only gonna test this with DNS that is given to us by CloudFront. Okay, so certificate, the one created by CloudFront. If we want to use a custom URL, then we'll need to provide one, a custom certificate that has our website as part of that certificate. Okay, but here in essence, we're going to use the default that CloudFront is going to provide. All right, moving on. Leave everything else as default. Login, we're not going to do any login to any bucket. Distribution state enabled. Okay, if you want to disable CloudFront at any point, you can always do that. Okay, so I'm going to leave that as enabled. Make sure we're choosing our load balancer. I'm just making sure that I don't forget anything else here. Origin shield, we're not choosing that, but again, optional. We can choose that and choose a specific region. In this case, I have to read more on this later on, because again, this is new. But in this case, I'm going to say no, because at the end of the day, CloudFront will still help me cache my content in other edge locations. Okay, so I wouldn't worry about this. I know some of you that have done CloudFront before. This is probably new to you as well. Okay, so Origin Shield, you can read more about it there. Maybe do Google it later on as well. to see more of how this can be of a benefit in your environment. We're going to skip that. Just leave it as no for now. Like I said, leave everything else as default. We're doing all of this, get, put, post, batch, delete, and all that. In real life scenario though, I'll tell you guys, for security reasons, if you don't have to do this, do not do this. Okay? Do not do put, post, batch unless your application actually needs all of this. Okay? So they're not just putting all of this here just as an extra option, right? There's security considerations behind you just allowing get and head. Okay? And allowing get, head, patch, post, put. For all of the developers here, I know, you probably, know why you should be choosing all of this, based on the request that you're allowing, end customers to do to your applications, or it's just, get and head, okay, and you're good. They're just going to retrieve content and that's it. All right. But again, in this example, just to make, do the full example here, I'm going to choose everything and assume that we're allowing, people to be able to, make delete requests, right, to resources. All right, let's go ahead and click on create distribution. Okay, so now it's creating. Usually it takes around, before it used to take very long, right? Like around 45 minutes or so sometimes. Okay, like around 45 minutes or so sometimes. I don't know how long it's going to take now. I've done this before, and on most occasions, trust me, it doesn't take up to 45 minutes. Maybe, I don't know, 10-15 minutes. Who's done this? Who's created a CloudFront recently? Can you tell me what your average time was? 15 minutes. There you go. Okay, 15 minutes. So sorry guys, I just had to make sure I explained everything else before I got to this stage. Okay, otherwise if you just go ahead and create CloudFront, it wouldn't make sense. Okay, so we had to do that whiteboarding because I want you guys to start thinking. Okay, to start thinking in that way. I'm getting access denied. Obafemi, on mute and tell us why you're getting, what you did to get access denied. Where are you getting access denied?
All right. I'm getting access denied upon clicking create distribution. I'm having this message that your account must be verified before you can add new CloudFront resources.
Oh, I see. Maybe your account is not verified yet. Is this a new account? You've been using this account for all of our demos so far, have you? Or this is a new account?
Yes, I've been using it. It was created last year August. It was created last year August.
Last year, August. I don't know why it's saying that. Obafemi, this is why we're solutions architects, right? And cloud engineers. What I recommend here, instead of, I'm thinking, but I can't think of why it's giving you that now. I'll say you put it in Google, okay? Put it in Google that you're trying to create a CloudFront and you're getting access denied. And I'm almost 100% certain something will come up in Stack Exchange or Stack Overflow. Excuse me. Okay? So you can Stack Overflow is your help, right? Like I always say, right? Obafemi, so just don't worry. I'm pretty sure it's something easy. You should be able to resolve that later on. Okay? You'll be able to resolve that later on. Okay? You're welcome. Let's see. Oh, 29 people. So I guess 2 more people joined. When I checked that it was 27. So let's wait. Let me see. I'm trying to think. What else are we waiting for here? So nothing else, guys. And I know some of you might be like, let me help you guys out with some of the questions that you might have. Okay. And if this is not part of your question, then you can unmute while we wait for CloudFront. Let's take that opportunity to say, this is our Q&A session. But before you guys start asking questions, let me mention this. Yes, if someone has this load balancer URL, if someone knows it, if someone knows this URL exactly, yes, they will be able to see your website, right? Now, think about this. The reason why you're doing this is so you can use this CloudFront URL, right? Use this CloudFront URL, right? At the end of the day, once you create a CloudFront distribution, this is what you're going to start using to tell your customers that, hey, this is how you can go to my website. But again, in reality, this is perhaps behind your domain, okay, your custom URL. And again, that is it's a little too much for this session right now. But let's just assume that you've customized it and your domain is now pointing to your CloudFront distribution, okay? So at the end of the day, you're not going to be giving people your load balancer URL anymore, because if you give them your load balancer URL, then CloudFront is not helpful for you in that case. Okay. And one thing I forgot to mention is CloudFront also has security benefits, guys. Right? Basic SIM flood attacks, I believe UDP is attacks and all that, network attacks, all of that. CloudFront helps you absorb that. If you're using CloudFront in front of your application, CloudFront will already help you. CloudFront comes with what we call Shield Standard, right? That will already help you with some of these different types of attacks, right? From malicious users around the world. So that's one thing that many people do not know, that CloudFront is actually it's actually great. One of the biggest considerations that you want to think of for using CloudFront is its security feature that's embedded in as well, right? Protecting you from basic some DDoS attacks, right? From let's say common types of DDoS attacks. Okay, so with that said, guys, you don't want to give your end users this anymore. You want to give them what? This one. Okay, once it's deployed, you want to give them this one to get to your application. Wow, so mine is created. That was less than 15 minutes. That was less than 15 minutes. So again, AWS has done something over the years to make sure that this CloudFront deploy much faster. As you can see, guys, I'm very sure this did not take 15 minutes. So mine is deployed. Someone else is deployed too. Now, fingers crossed. Okay, to test whether this will work. Okay, fingers crossed to test whether this will work. Let me close. Guys, look at this. Before I close this, I just remember that I had this open. This is pointing to one of my EC2 instances. But if I refresh, it shouldn't work. Why? Because of my security group has changed. Okay. Oh, I still already got hers working. Very good. So I'm just gonna close this. This is happening because we blocked our security group rep, which is what we want. This link, I want to make sure I share it with you guys in the description later on. Also, I'll share this link with you guys. I really love this page. So this is a page that discusses field level encryption. I really want you guys to read about this. Okay, read about it later on, and to see how you can use this in your environment if you need it. What else? Also, I'm also going to share this URL with you guys. What's happening? Is someone writing on my whiteboard? I don't know what's happening there, but never mind. See this blue line right here. I must have been doing something. All right, don't worry about that. So I'm going to share these 3 pages with you. Okay, read about those HTTP methods, read about field level encryption, and read about this. This will really help you as you grow in this field. Okay. Now let's go ahead now, and I'm just going to open a new tab. Okay, this is using my load balancer, guys. Don't forget, this is my load balancer. Again, if I want CloudFront to cache content for me from users around the world, I'm going to paste my CloudFront URL. Okay, I'm going to paste my CloudFront URL. And guys, you see that? It works. Please forgive ignore this blue line. I don't know how this blue line came into my picture here. So did it only work for us two? Guys, congratulations for getting this done. Please remember to delete everything. Remember to delete everything. Your CloudFront. There's a chart to CloudFront, but I believe CloudFront, there's a free tier for CloudFront as well. Let me quickly look at that. Yeah, CloudFront free tier at no additional cost. Okay, up to figure out the. Okay, yeah, you have free tier, but again, delete it so you can save some of it. Okay. Give me a 9 in the chat. Give me a 1. No, I want 1. 1. No, 1. Give me 1 in the chat if everything today made some sense and you were able to follow the lab. Very good. Very good. So floor is open, guys. I think I can only take 1 question today, guys. I've already taken 2 questions so far. So 1 question, any career-related question or about what we've done today. Go ahead. First person to unmute. Anybody? Any question?
Alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
How are you? Okay.
Good, alhamdulillah. Thank you.
You see, I applied for Amazon and I'm under consideration. What advice would you
Wow.
give me with the process?
Mashallah. Very good. Congratulations. Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
What advice would you give me, like, for preparation and interviews and stuff?
like I always tell people, it depends on the position. Solutions architect, cloud, whatever role it is, just know your basic stuff, right? Basic networking, basic storage, basic RDS. This is why you're in IT, right? The fundamentals need to always be there, no matter the position you're going for. So that's gonna be my advice for you. Review some basics of networking, of storage, of of all of these important areas of IT, and hopefully you do. Also, usually your recruiters, right? You can ask them for tips that they might have for you for this interview. Is there any areas they want you to focus on? If they're able to, and most times recruiters, they're working for your best interest, right? So to help you as much as they can, to do good on an interview, as long as you're showing on your resume that you have the skills, right, that they're looking for. Always make sure that your basics are always there. Okay, networking, security, databases, and you should do good. Nobody's ever recommended, it's not allowed to to tell you exactly what questions someone was asked on the interview. So of course I've gone through these interviews before. I wouldn't be able to, and I know that's not what you're asking. Okay, that's why I'm being very general. Okay, I can't give like, hey, this is an exact question that they're going to ask you on an interview. That's not okay. That's not allowed. But at the end of the day, what I'm going to recommend for you is basics. Okay, I'm going to put something in the Telegram channel. Okay, there are links to help you with knowing some like basic concepts in IT, networking, security, and all that. You should always get yourself familiar with, right? Always get yourself familiar with. I'm gonna post it on the Telegram channel. Okay, is that Mohammed?
Yes, thank you. That makes
Okay.
so much sense. Thank
Okay,
you.
that will help. That will help you. Okay.
What is the hiring process like after interview? What do you go through exactly?
There are a couple of stages usually, like with all of the major big tech companies. There are different stages and processes. I don't know, it might change over time, but at this point, Mohammed, to be honest, I'll tell you to I'll say refer these questions to the recruiter. Trust me, they're very open to explain all of this to you, and that will be real information that they'll be able to how will I say, leverage. So if I tell you something now, it might not be the correct thing. It might have changed because my interview was about 2 years ago. Okay, but of course there are different stages of the interviews. Okay, that you would have to go through. Okay, but your recruiter, you have a recruiter, right? That's in touch with you, right? You have their email and all that.
Not at the moment. I'm in the under consideration stage, so I'm waiting for my interview.
So how did you know that you're under consideration?
Because when I go on the portal, it shows under consideration.
Oh, I see what you mean. So yeah. So they're perhaps looking at your resume. If they're really interested, maybe show it to the hiring manager and all that. Then a recruiter will contact you, and you get full details. Okay. Right now, what I'll recommend for you and everyone here is, even if you see your application is under consideration, don't stop applying. Okay. Remember, like I always tell you guys, apply to at least 5 to 10 jobs every day, especially if you don't currently have a job and you're just looking for a job. Okay, 5 to 10 jobs a day, right? Continue to do that, and someday soon, inshallah, something will work out. But do not let any day pass you by without you looking at that LinkedIn jobs post or Indeed job post and applying to at least 5 jobs a day. Okay. There's one thing, Mohammed, does that help? I know that's not a lot of
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah. All right. As usual, thank you guys. Like I said, guys, this URL here for your load balancer, it will still work. Let me just give you a hint here. Some companies, they want to be able to block people from, let's say some malicious user from somewhere tomorrow gains access to this URL right here. Remember, this is your load balancer URL, guys. You can use AWS Web Application Firewall. Okay, to create a custom header, right, in your CloudFront, right, to this load balancer. Okay, it's a little complicated for now. I'll find the link and post it in my Telegram channel. If you're not part of my Telegram channel, it's very important that you're part of it, and you see some of these resources that I'm sharing with you guys and get updates about these sessions and the link to the new videos. Please join the Telegram channel and you'll be able to get some of these important resources, okay? But let me just put it in plain English. Yes, you can restrict users from accessing this URL directly, okay? And web application firewall comes into play, right? Hopefully sometime in the future we'll get to web application firewall and be able to do a demo on web application firewall. But at the end of the day, if nobody knows about this URL, then they're not going to be able to get to your load balancer directly and visit your website. And also at the end of the day, we also made this secure, right? It's not like they're hitting our servers directly, okay? They're hitting the load balancer. That's a managed service. The load balancer is a managed service, so they can't break this load balancer, right? With a lot of traffic, right? The load balancer is managed by AWS. Yes, the request to your instances can be overflooded, and then if you have only one instance or two instances, those can crash, right? But at the end of the day, this load balancer is solid. It'll stay. It's AWS managed. They can't break it. But if they have access, they'll be able to access your website. They'll be able to see your website. So if it's a private website, something you don't want the world to see, if they have this URL, they'll be able to see it. And then when you go public, you share your CloudFront URL. Then you know that yes, this is the public URL you're sharing for everybody, not this load balancer URL. Okay. So at the end of the day, in this case, people can access both. Okay. But if there's a requirement by your supervisor or your team to, hey, we need to make sure that this is not reachable from anywhere in the world. Okay. You can change that. Okay. You can change that and allow people to only be able to access your website using this CloudFront URL. Okay, give me a 5 if that makes sense on the chat. Give me a 5 in the chat if that makes sense. All right, very good. All right, thank you guys. Thank you for joining this session again. Sorry that we went a little over an hour. I hope you guys have benefited a lot. So go out there, and start playing with this. Okay, never ever be afraid of, this is complicated. It's not. It's really not, guys. It's just like pushing buttons here and there and you're done, right? You've seen me do it today. You guys were able to do it today. Go tomorrow and play with it, test it. If you're lost somewhere in the configuration, what do you go to find answers, guys? Let me see in the chat. What would you normally go to find answers? Stack Overflow, exactly, right? Just put it in Google. Stack Overflow almost always comes up. Okay, put it in Google, type it, search it in Stack Overflow, and something will come up. Thank you, guys. I'll see you all next Sunday from 11 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time to 12 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Don't forget, delete your instances, terminate your instances, terminate your load balancer, delete your CloudFront. Okay. All right. See you all, guys. See you all next week. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day and week. All right. Take care. Bye, guys. Thank you. Bye.